Linux is hitting version 7.1, and according to the parts of the internet, this means massive rewrite, breaking changes, the end of stability, or somehow the beginning of the end. Because obviously, when a number changes, civilization collapses. Except that's not what happened. And Linus Torvalds basically said, I just don't like big numbers. Linus Torvalds just released Linux kernel 7.0 RC1. RC1 means Release Candidate 1. Test this before we ship phase. From 6.x to 7.0 and immediately clarified, this does not mean a giant new feature, a rewrite, a stability shift, or Linux 2.0 energy. It's just the next number. Linux hasn't used version numbers to signal big changes in years. The number is mostly a progress marker. That's it. Here's why this messes with people. In most software, major version changes equals big deal. 1.0 to 2.0, something dramatic happened. Your app redesigns itself. Half your plugins break. Your config file cries. We've been trained to think big numbers equals big disruption. But Linux doesn't play that game anymore. For a long time, Linux versions numbers followed the idea of major equals big change, minor equals small change, patch equals fixes. Now, it's more like we have done enough releases. Time for a round number. That's confusing because our brains love patterns. We want version numbers to mean something emotional. But Linux treats them like calendar pages. You don't panic when January becomes February. It's just time moving. Let's zoom out. The Linux kernel releases regularly, very regularly. There is a merge window. Features get merged, then stabilization, and then release. Rinse, repeat. Linus even joked that he ends each minor series at x.19, then bumps it to the next major number, roughly every 3.5 years. So 6.19 becomes 7.0, not because fireworks, but because it's math. Under the hood, 7.0 includes continued Rust support in the kernel, performance improvements, better hardware support for AMD and Intel, improvements for RISC-V and Long Arch, removal of a modem driver from 1990s IBM ThinkPads. Yes, somebody finally let that modem rest. But none of this screams reinventing Linux. It's incremental, careful, boring in the best way, and that's the point. Linux thrives on boring consistency, not dramatic reboots. Also, Linus made a joke about succession. He said, by the time version numbers get too big, someone more competent who isn't afraid of numbers past the teens will take over. That's not panic, that's maturity. The Linux community already has continuity plans. This isn't a solo act anymore. It's an orchestra. Imagine this. You have a Get repo. You've been committing for years. Version 6.18, version 6.19, version 6.20. At some point, you go, this is ugly. So you tag version 7.0. Did the code suddenly evolve into a new species? No. You just cleaned the number. That's Linux 7.0. It's not new Linux. It's we've been steadily moving forward for years. The real meme here is developers fear version numbers far more than code changes. If I told you we refactored 2000 lines, you are calm. If I tell you we are moving to version 7, you start checking your backups. The number triggers you, not the code. Linux knows this and just doesn't care. This is actually an industry maturity story. Linux doesn't need dramatic 2.0 moments anymore. Its infrastructure is, it runs servers, cloud, Android, and supercomputers. When you become infrastructure, stability matters more than spectacle. Version numbers stop being marketing, they become bookkeeping. That's adulthood in software. And honestly, it's comforting. So, no, Linux 7.0 does not change everything. It changes a number. And that's the lesson. Not every headline signals disruption. Sometimes it signals consistency, which might be even more powerful. Question for you: do version numbers subconsciously scare you, or do you ignore them? Let's talk in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.